Ford O'Connell spent a lot of time on the ground in Mississippi as a political consultant. He joins us via Skype from Washington, D.C. Back by telephone, the Boston radio talk show host and Boston Herald columnist Howie Carr. As we are getting back with Howie, Ford, I want you to comment on someone who may be a unifying force for Republicans. This would be Vice President Joe Biden. Biden most recently given this headline, quote, "Protecting gay rights is the defining mark of a civilized society, and it must trump national cultures and social traditions." Now, let me quote from the article. "I don't care what your culture is. Inhumanity is inhumanity is inhumanity. Prejudice is prejudice is prejudice." Ford O'Connell, there may be changing perceptions, but for Joe Biden as Vice President of the United States to abandon the role of Alexander Throttlebottom in the musical Of Thee I Sing, and now try to offer pronouncements that transcend theology and popular culture and politics, is this a bridge too far for Joe Biden?
Well, what Joe Biden here is trying to do, and I hate to play cynical politics, is tack to the left of Hillary Clinton. He wants to win the Democratic nomination in 2016. And he recognizes that Hillary has frozen up a lot of the donors. And one of the things that Barack Obama recognized was very big with the Democratic donors was touting gay rights. And now he's taken it from forcing it down states' rights to now taking it to the international length. I think it's a bridge too far, particularly when we're not enforcing sex trafficking and women's rights and several other things internationally. I think that Joe Biden is busy trying to basically throw culture down people's throats, and it's a wrong idea. The question for the Republicans is how they're going to counter that. Should they face that situation in a general election, JD?
So, Howie, taking a look at this, and Biden being Biden, Ford gave us the political reasons for this, but what is the fallout socially? And again, here are the comments on the screen. I'll repeat them as we have them up here. Joe Biden: gay rights must take precedence over culture. I don't care what your culture is. Inhumanity is inhumanity is inhumanity. Prejudice is prejudice is prejudice. Is Joe Biden, who famously tried to advise us on our Second Amendment rights about having a sawed-off shotgun or a shotgun at the door, is he now trying to usurp the authority of Pope Francis and basically attack or mock Christian and Catholic tradition? Howie, can you hear me? Apparently we're having difficulties. We'll try to reestablish with Howie Carr. Ford, again, and I appreciate what you had to say about the political implications, but you know, it's almost, we talk about political science being an oxymoron. How about a further oxymoron, political physics? For every action, there's an opposite reaction. It may not always be equal, but this backlash to Biden. Are there still values voters in the Democratic Party, and is it going to make a difference to them?
I don't think it's going to make a heck of a lot of difference with them. You may get some marginal voters who are black and Hispanic and maybe a few Asians. But at the end of the day, this is what progressives are all about. They're tolerant in thinking, JD, so long as you're thinking what they want you to think. And this is exactly the problem, whether it's how they perceive social issues or how they perceive fiscal issues. At the end of the day, their way is the right way, and anyone who disagrees with them based on religious views, etc., is wrong. And that is the very big problem. And we're now starting to see this with Barack Obama in a second term, and this is what I fear about a Hillary Clinton presidency, is we're going to have so many judges on the federal bench, JD, that they're just basically going to carry this out and not respect religious views and traditions.
Having said that, you're a political strategist. Strictly speaking, politically, how should the GOP handle the issue of so-called gay marriage?
With respect, JD, unfortunately, it's just killing us with voters under 40. They don't care if you've got the elixir to basically start a fire if they think that you're being intolerant. in their views, JD, they don't care if you have the cure for cancer. This is something that is very prevalent with people under 40, not just in the Democratic Party, within the Republican Party. The person who I think is best understanding this change in perception between those under 40 and over 40 is Wisconsin Senator Ron Johnson, who I agree 100% with his view. And that is, I'm a traditional marriage person, but if the voters in my state vote for it, then I'm not going to stop it. And that's really where we're going. Unfortunately, this is a new day and age, and I fault this decline in traditional marriages based on two things. One is a decline in religion, and the second, as Rick Santorum rightfully points out, is a decline in the family and understanding marital values. And unfortunately, that's where we are, JD, and I don't see it changing ever.
Well, let me turn to another hot button issue, and that is immigration. Dr. Ben Carson sat down for an interview with our own Ed Berliner. The interview continues on Midpoint, that will be seen right here on Newsmax TV beginning at noon Eastern. Now, when we talk about immigration, Ed Berliner wanted to get Dr. Carson's take on it, and here's what Dr. Carson had to say.
And of course, if they say something harsh, then you're cruel and you just don't care about children, or how could anybody be like that? And if you say something that's gentle and mild, you're for amnesty. It's a no-win situation while the administration sits above the fray and collects the admiration and gratitude of illegal and legal immigrants.
So Dr. Carson offering his assessment, a type of public policy schematic that he laid out in rather measured tones. I would just take issue politely with Dr. Carson on one point, and that is that the president or the current administration, this inures to the benefit of the left for legal immigrants. Ford, I have to tell you, and I believe it's backed up by poll numbers, there is no group of Americans more steadfastly opposed to illegal immigration than those who immigrated to the United States legally. But what of the other point that Dr. Carson made about using the children, as we are seeing in such crass fashion on our southern border?
Dr. Carson's 1,000,000% right, JD. Unfortunately, the administration wants to use this as a political football, because really, at the end of the day, they have no interest in solving this situation. They have no interest in securing the border. They have no interest in streamlining immigration courts. They have no interest in streamlining visas. All they want to do is use this to the political detriment of Republicans. Is basically they give more handouts on the way to keep more voters happy who they don't want working and attacking their unions. And essentially, that's just how they plan to stay in power for years to come. And as we've seen the demographics of America, in 30 years, 1/3 of U.S. residents are going to be Hispanic by 2060. So I know exactly what the Democratic Party is doing. And then, frankly, we actually saw Hillary Clinton take a little bit slight of an issue with this. And now Democrats claim that she has a Hispanic problem because she actually told the truth for about 5.5 seconds. This is a political football, and the administration wants to keep using it to the detriment of Republicans. And unfortunately, we fall in the trap because we don't outline a clear plan and we don't say what our values are.
Well, I don't know. A lot of us are pretty outspoken on that, Ford, including Howie Carr. We've reestablished telephone contact with Howie. Now, Howie, granted, you're not planning to run for office. I think my days of running for public office are over. But I still feel the majority of Americans are against illegal immigration and don't embrace amnesty in all its many gradations. Howie, weigh in on it.
I agree, JD. I mean, I'm here in the bluest state in the union, arguably, and they just were getting ready to ram through a driver's license bill. They could be talk about a euphemism. They called it the Safe Driving Act. You know, kind of like the Affordable Care Act. That's not affordable. This was going to be the Unsafe Driving Act. They backed down at the last minute. They got cold feet. The legislature realized it was a non-starter. It was going to cost them seats if they pushed it through. I agree. I mean, this is not playing out well. You know, you have these you have people going on positions, not conservatives, not Tea Party people, people who know infectious diseases are talking about that there's the chance of a terrible outbreak of diseases that had been previously eradicated. The other thing, JB, I think we're really playing into the hands of the Obama administration, calling them children. My understanding is 80% of them are males, 14 to 18. I mean, this sounds like the making of sort of a reinforcements for MS-13 and all the rest of the gangs.
And of course, MS-13, as you mentioned, one of the gangs, one of the Salvadoran gangs, now taking root in America with obvious problems in terms of crime in the streets. Howie Carr, Ford O'Connell, we thank you on weighing in on last night's primaries, what may be ahead politically, and of course public policy questions such as the future of marriage and what will transpire with illegal immigration. Our thanks to you both. You heard from these two gentlemen. Your thoughts welcome. You can tweet us your comments at Newsmax TV, #America's Forum.